Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, geeks and gamers, naughty canines, people who like Disney, evil Disney overlords, people who like Doctor Who, do you exist? And people that like sweet potatoes. It's this week's Monkey Nut Punch podcast. And you might have noticed it's me that's introducing this. Unfortunately, this week we are one man down. We received a message about half an hour ago saying, I have become the human version of a super soaker. I'm not going to go into any more details because you don't need them. Anyway, as always, we are joined by the one, the only, Captain Birdseye himself, the man, the beard, the legend. It's Nigel. Say hello,
and you
Nigel.
forgot to say the best person on this podcast, obviously.
I'm sorry.
Because I'm always here.
So, Nigel, where have you
smell.
put your fishy fingers this week?
Manifest, it seems.
Okay, so yes, you might have noticed that Gav isn't here. He is a bit poorly. It's not the beer bug, so don't worry. It's not the beer bug.
No.
He ate something dodgy. Let's not go any more details. So a couple of housekeeping things. We were going to cover the naughty dog fiasco this week, but unfortunately, me and Nigel are not as well educated on this as Gareth. So we're not going to talk about it this week. We're not scared about getting copyright strike because, you know, I would like to say now that Naughty Dog, you're a bunch of wankers. Go on, give me a copy strike. Come on, fucking dare you. Anyway, so we're going to be covering that next week. And we did want to review Better Call Saul this week. But unfortunately, again, Gareth really wants to have his say on that. So we're going to talk about that next week. I'll give you a little clue. I thought it was awesome. But we'll go through that next week. So this week, we're going to be talking about a few things. We've got a couple of stories. We are a bit light this week, but Nigel and me will do our best. We're going to soldier on without the Perry. And hopefully, we'll do a good job. So we're going to get onto the news this week. And our
nothing
story...
will compare to his standards, obviously. That he
No. We're going to get a list of notes after this. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not now. I'm going to start getting this in the comments going, wrong. So,
you've introduced that like shit.
Yeah. It's going to be something like that. Right. So we are a bit light on stories, but we will go into the first one now. It's kind of a two-part story. Can
I just say,
that, yeah,
quick hello to David and Gav, who's watching us live. So
now don't say hello to Gav because he's already going, I'm on the barbecue again, and he knows. Yeah. He knows. Yeah. It just makes me jealous.
I know.
Bastard.
I am going to pop round there sometime and socially distance myself from my house to his house whilst there is a barbecue going on. I will turn up.
Right, let's get into the news. So this week, or towards the beginning of last week, it was announced that Trolls World Tour, which was one of I think it was the first movie that skipped the cinema and got released straight to what they're calling premium on demand, where you basically pay 20 quid and you get to watch the movie, and it's unsurprisingly done extremely well. It's made just near enough, about 100 million. I think the story actually says it's past 100 million now, doesn't it? Yeah, nearly 100 million. It was about 95 million last time. And that was in the opening weekend. That was in like the first week, I think, of it opening. It made this amount of money. And a lot of people that are cinema goers are quite worried about this because it made quite a lot of money. And this is where I'm not convinced that this is real, but it is worth mentioning that because this skipped the cinemas, Universal, who sort of published this film, they make most of that money. So, there's no sort of third parties involved. They make, I think it's about 75 million of that. So they've made more than they would make. So if it made 100 million in the cinemas, they wouldn't get nearly as much as that. So unsurprisingly, Universal have gone, oh, we're going to try this again because we're cutting out the middleman and making a lot of money. And then AMC Cinemas in the States, who own Odeon in the UK and the rest of Europe, have decided to ban all Universal movies. So they're basically saying we're no longer going to play any Universal movies in our cinema, as a reaction to Universal basically saying, well, we're going to release the films in the cinemas, but we're also going to release them as this premium on demand thing on the same day. Now, we all know what's going on in the world at the moment. We're not going to actually mention it by name because of the stupid fucking YouTube algorithm. But what we will say is this, or at least what my opinion is, and then I'll let know. I think this is kind of a bit of a red herring in the fact that I think this movie did so well because we'd been in lockdown for about 2 weeks, and I don't have kids, but Nige does, and a couple of people on the comments have kids. So you will understand this. After about 2 weeks of having your kids there 24/7, I bet you're going absolutely berserk. And what do you want to do? You want 2 hours of just peace and quiet. So what do? You pay the 20 quid because you don't give a shit. You stick your kids down in front of this bloody movie and you fuck off and drink and do whatever you want to do. And the kids are entertained for 2 hours and you've got peace and quiet. And I think that is one of the reasons why this film has made so much money. If we were not in lockdown, I am not convinced that people would pay the 20 quid. Because if you're paying that amount of money, would you not want to go to the bloody cinema? Because for that kind of money, you get a much better experience. And, you know, okay, it's more expensive if you said, go on. You
yeah, exactly that. It's more expensive because this is a family thing, not mine or my kids' bag at all. And if you go there as a family, you're spending upwards of 30 quid, whereas for a family ticket. So it depends on the cinema you go to. So yeah, you're not going to spend 20 quid per person though. With this, you're just spending 20 quid and you get it to your TV and you'll have however many people watching it. It's a little bit cheaper in that respects, but it's only done this well because of the bug. People in when it comes to this kind of thing, it's not that the people are cheap. It's just like, what am I paying 20 quid for? Yeah, I understand that it is cheaper to the, you know, the whole family can watch it for 20 quid. But there's still something special about going to the cinema. And I think most people will see that because that 20 quid is just like, oh, 20 quid to watch a movie at home when I've got fucking Netflix and all that kind of stuff. No. I mean, you know, if you're paying 20 quid and you go to the cinema, you pay 30 quid to go, you get the experience. And going to the cinema, even with your kids, is still an experience. Sometimes it drives you crazy, I get it, but it's still an experience. And you're getting more for your money that way. So I honestly don't see, once we're past this whole lockdown bollocks, I don't see this being a viable model that will completely bypass the cinemas. I understand where Odeon are coming from because I think Universal have been a bit shit. I think there was a contract in place between Odeon and Universal regarding releases, and because they just bypassed this contract, they're sort of going, mate, we got a bit of paper here saying you've got to do this. So where every other studio has just, you know, moved everything back at least 6 months, they've released it.
Interestingly, Universal, I think, have moved back Fast and the Furious. So they're not talking about releasing that to this premium on demand. So it's and they pushed back. Was it Jurassic World Dominion? Not to be confused with DS9. And others. So, but it's interesting how, I mean, AMC cinemas have got their own problems in the States. If you know AMC cinemas in the States, they've got their own problems going on at the moment. So this reaction is based partly on trying to save them as well. But they own Odeon in Europe. So in the UK news, you would have seen Odeon banning it, but in the States, it's AMC who's banned it. But they're the same company, effectively. Or Odeon is a wholly owned subsidiary of AMC Theatres. There you go, the legality.
So where I live, we've got we had an Odeon. It's fairly old, and
they refurbished the town centre and they built a Cineworld, and it is so much better in Cineworld, and it's a little bit cheaper than Odeon, despite Odeon being, well, a bit grimy, shall we say, and old, and the seats are shit and everything like that, and the overpriced drinks and food. And you go to the Cineworld, the seats are good, they've got a nice angle to it, all that stuff. And so I prefer going there. And it's no skin off my nose that they're banning.
It's kind of
that one.
When I was sort of living near my parents, it was kind of different. Cineworld was in Felton, and that was a bit run down. And the Odeon in Kingston was much better because it was a lot newer. But there was also the View in Staines, which one of the guys who's commenting, which we'll go to the comments in a minute, we used to go there a lot. But you would avoid it on Sundays because there would be a lot of how do I put this? Oh fuck it, pikeys playing these fucking games in the sort of auditorium of the View on a Sunday. It was weird as fuck. They were playing this thing against the wall. No bloody idea what it was, but there'd be hundreds of them.
I've been to that cinema in Staines,
yes.
Yeah.
Lovely place. But the Odeon in Kingston is pretty nice. They say they've got an IMAX there, but it's not really an IMAX because when you go to the one at Waterloo, that's an IMAX. That's like, oh my God, my fucking neck is going to break because I'm stretching up so far kind of thing. But there are a lot of these boutique cinemas opening now as well, which I much prefer. We've got the Everyman cinemas, which are amazing. The Light Cinema in Addleston, and there's a couple more around. That's meant to be really, really good. I know Gareth goes there quite a bit and says it's really, really good. I've never been. I really want to go. And, the next time I'm back in the UK, I intend to go and check it out because Gareth raves about it. And I like these boutique cinemas now because I just think you get a better experience. I mean, the Everyman, both the one in Walton and Esher, they're really, really good. I think they're much better.
I went to the one near where Gareth lives, and we went to see Venom because he'd seen it there, and we wanted to see it again because he loved it, and so we went to watch. And the cinema's great; it was really, really good. Much better than what I've got nearby me, even the new one. So yeah, these smaller ones, they really do a good show. So it's worthwhile. Do you know what? I think Odeon or AMC have properly overdone this. They should have said, all right, yeah, we understand why you've done it, but could you not break our contract again?
I think my opinion is they don't have to be that worried. I mean, okay, I know that these multi-cinema complexes are not quite the experience they was, but as I said, with Gareth and his wife talking about the Light, and you saying that, and me going to the Everyman, I've taken my wife to the Everyman a couple of times. That's a real experience. I mean, the last time we went and saw Solo at Esher Cinema. Now, that was the first cinema I ever went to as a kid, and it was a proper cinema. It had the curtains that come across and everything, and Everyman bought it and they've done it back up and restored it all. And I took my wife there, and it was like, I remember coming to this cinema. This was my first experience. I think I saw E.T. here or something. Everyman had done it, but we were able to have a nice drink. We had a glass of wine in the auditorium, and we bought our proper sort of popcorn, not the crap that you get. This was homemade, fresh popcorn. And I think we paid, I think it's about £1 more than the Odeon, but you get this fucking great big armchair with a cushion and like a foot stand. They bring stuff to your table. You get these little tables, right? And they bring stuff to you. So if you order grub or stuff like that, they bring it to you. My wife had a hot chocolate. It's awesome. So I know there's a different one in Reading that my old boss goes to, and I think that's the same company as the Light. I think that's the same company.
Could be. I just don't think this is the end of cinemas as we know. No. It's just what's going on at the moment. I just think they should have took a chill pill and fucking just took it on the chin, It's only because they've missed out on a bit of revenue, because I think they get half of the revenue that the movie makes if they're shown it in the cinema. So I think that's what they're salty about. So I just think it's pathetic.
I think before we move on to our next story, we've got quite a few people watching, and we always go through the comments after every section. So, Nige, the man, we get Nige on it.
Nice. Do you want to go through the comments?
Yeah, I will. Cheers, Mr. Robotic. Hello, Benji. Yeah, he was saying Trolls World Tour is the 21st century equivalent of straight to video. People are only renting it due to COVID-19 lockdown.
Yeah, I think
£16 to rent a movie is bullshit. Yes, it is. They're just sort of matching what they would sell a single ticket for, which is stupid, really. They probably would have got a few more people watching it if they didn't do that. Frozen 2 would have done the same thing if it hadn't come out before the pandemic.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I've still not seen Frozen 1. I've been on the ride in Florida, not seen the film. I've heard the music, obviously.
In fairness, it's not the same as your typical Disney affair. It's worthy of some of the praise. I will give it that. It's not my cup of tea, but my niece made me watch it more than once when she was going through her whole Elsa stage. In fairness, it doesn't follow the same.
It's all right, mate. We don't need a review.
Thing.
Yeah, David. Of course, people won't pay 20 quid. Well, they have.
Hi, Dave.
Unfortunately.
Hi, Benny.
It's nuts. I was expecting not that many, but people, like you say, Keith, they're stuck in the house and want something on. Yes, Gav, it's batshit crazy.
Hey, less of the back talk, Gav. Less of the back talk. Sensitive subject.
Yeah, he's trying to kick something else.
I just wanted, because we mentioned Jurassic World Dominion, and I'm sorry, I laughed at this, and I need to just highlight this comment. But yes, Ben. Yes. Cardassians or dinosaurs. Yes, Ben. We're half expecting the dinosaurs to have shape-shifting fucking abilities and be hooked on drugs.
Yeah, they're wild, mate. Just a quick hello. Hello, T. Thanks for watching. I know your husband's probably nearby or not. At the moment, yeah, she agrees. Rather go cinema. Yes, the lights are great. Cinema. Hello, Milk. What Milk? Yeah, he agrees.
Mate.
Cinema. What mate? Yeah. Okay, and yeah, David agrees. Venom is a cool movie, and he's looking forward to seeing the sequel. Carnage in it.
The sequel. Yes, he's absolutely right. They've announced it's been pushed back. It's been pushed back to 2021, but Andy Serkis is directing it, and I am really, really looking forward to it. Yeah, I agree.
Gav wants to go to cinema again. It's not the same on a 49-inch screen. It's not all about
only
size,
a 49-inch screen.
Not all about the size.
Mate, yeah, it is. When it comes to TVs, yeah, it is. see, you know why I loved my wife? My wife. When I first moved here, we had to obviously buy all our shit, right? So we went to we did the furniture, and then we went to the electrical shop because we had to get a fridge and all that shit. And then it came to the TV, and I thought, right, what can I get away with? Right? So I started looking at the 40-inch smart TVs. And I'm looking at it and I'm going, this is not too expensive and it's smart. So we can get, I can watch other bits on it, Netflix and stuff like that. And she went, oh, darling, I don't think it's big enough. And I just looked at her and went, I love you. And we bought a 60-inch TV. I just looked at her and the love in my eyes, because she always talks about it. I was like, I love you.
I think we need a new surround sound too to go with this lovely TV.
Do you know,
anyway,
she did. She got it for me for Christmas. That's the thing. She did. She got me the surround sound because our first Christmas here, she wrapped up this present. She made this whole thing about it. And it came in what looked, and it looked like an IKEA chair, because IKEA chairs come in like this L-shaped box, right? And she wrapped this thing up and it was in an L-shaped box. I'm like, why she bought me a chair? I had no idea that it was like this fucking huge surround sound Bluetooth thing. Oh, it was awesome. Anyway.
So, we've got so many comments. David is saying we should travel to India and have a Bollywood cinema experience. I can't stand Bollywood. I'm sorry, mate.
Oh,
I know it's culture, but I cannot, mate. I hate musicals, and Bollywood is the epitome of musical. I cannot. If a song starts coming on in a movie that I'm watching, I walk out the room. I hate it. Hate, and that's why I haven't watched.
Come on, you must have loved the ending to Slumdog Millionaire, because I love it when they do that dance at the end in the station. I remember being in the middle of, God, where was I?
No,
I think I was in Angkor Wat. So yeah, I was in a club called Angkor Wat in Cambodia, and I was dancing on a table to Jai Ho with an Indian guy. We were going, I love
different.
it.
You're interacting.
I kind of agree with you.
Gareth sent us a message. Hello, mate. I hope you're all right. Yeah, cinemas need to be wired as video on demand is convenient. Yeah, it is. Screens and sound system are cheaper, and they will soon catch up with 8K screens.
But you see, I know what he's saying, right?
Yeah, but it's still the cinema experience, isn't it? It's a bit different.
And
video on demand means they make more money, and they have.
Yeah, no, it's true. It is true. It is true.
Yeah, it is greed. Enough political bull crap. Sorry, less bat. I understand. Gaff wants me to tell Keith to stop being so gay. It is very, very difficult for him to do that. Apparently, according to David, not all musicals, not all Bollywood movies are musicals. That's still not my thing, mate. AMC are hugely in debt and in with the Chinese, so the US won't bail them out. Okay, if that's what it is. It is right.
Yeah, no, they're owned by a Chinese company. They are owned by a Chinese conglomerate, by the looks of it. Anyway, we should move on to our next story. And this one is a right one. So tomorrow is May the 4th, and we all know what May the 4th is. It's Star Wars.
Live long and prosper.
So Disney put out a tweet, and it asked people to start tweeting with the hashtag May the 4th. It then followed up with a legal warning suggesting that any user who tweeted the hashtag was agreeing to Disney's terms and conditions. So in other words, they were trying to basically own the May the 4th hashtag. And I might point out, Disney, you bunch of wankers, May the 4th was around long before you bought Star Wars. But anyway, of course, the fans, being the fans, kind of reacted to this. Now, I could have told you, Disney, that they were going to react like this. You really need to sack your marketing department and Catherine Kennedy.
All this shows you is Disney, yet again, proving they have no idea what their audience is.
It's so basically, I mean, they've now backtracked on this. I mean, that it is. I mean, it's like the May the 4th. It's May the 4th be with you. So May the 4th be with you. And they put out this tweet saying, reply with your favorite Star Wars memories, and you may see it somewhere special, because they're manning to do all these things on Disney Plus tomorrow. But it was the fact they put out all this legal bullshit afterwards, and you're right, they just don't get their audience. It's mental. Go on.
Yeah, sorry. It's nothing to say really. Disney being Disney at the moment, they're just, I don't know, they're compounding themselves. They're doing shit thing on shit thing, aren't they? So, I'm almost to the point where I don't care about the films and shit anymore. I just want to go to Disneyland again, and then I'll be all right, So,
it is worth mentioning that not all Disney Star Wars is bad. Apparently, the last season of the Clone Wars has been really, really good, and I've heard from a few people that have exactly the same opinions as us about Star Wars in general, who have enjoyed this last season of the Clone Wars. So I might begrudgingly sign up to Disney Plus to watch the last season of the Clone Wars, because I really did enjoy Rebels. I rewatched that all recently. And I thoroughly enjoyed Rebels again. Makes me believe in Star Wars again, makes me feel all Star Warsy again, and why I loved Star Wars. Yeah, I think this just was just another monumental fuck up. And if it was the first one, you would excuse it. But as you've said, they just don't get their audience at all. It's just.
Yeah,
it's done. Anyway,
I might do Disney Plus, because we get when you sign up as a new user, you get is it a free month or something? I don't know.
And they're putting out that making of the Mandalorian, which I'm kind of half interested in seeing. But what? And I do want to see all the Marvel series when they come, which we don't know. But
down to the comments on this. He's still alive, Mr. G. He's sure it's illegal and against Twitter's term of service to own a hashtag, probably means. Yeah, it's moronic, but that's fucking Disney at the moment. David is not letting Disney anywhere near Bladefoot or the Black Mamba. Definitely do not. Do not let them near it. I can't help myself. Nothing's going to stop me now.
He's right. I just want to. He said, I'm sure it's. Yeah, it is. But they seem to have lots of dumbasses in their marketing department.
We should hire someone who knows someone. Alex, hello, Alex. Yeah, Gav's not with us today. He's not feeling well. Not in the current pandemic sort of thing.
Not this. Not this.
Not
he hasn't got that.
Not the beer bug. He's just not feeling good. In another sense, he called himself a human super soaker. Right.
Yeah. Right. I've got. We're going to go to the next story now, and this is a bit of a sad one. I have been, ever since this first came, a huge Scrubs fan. I love Scrubs. In fact, I've been watching them all at the moment because the guy that played Turk and JD are doing a podcast, and it's called Fake Doctors, Real Friends, and they're getting all the cast back on. And they were going to get Sam Lloyd back on, and unfortunately, he has been very ill, and he's unfortunately passed away. And it's really, really sad because he was such a talented guy, and I've seen him in lots of things where he's one of these character actors that could just mold himself into the part. And you wouldn't know. I mean, I saw him in a film once, and he was completely different. He played this psycho guy, and I mean, not like Ted Psycho. I mean, scary Psycho, and it wasn't Ted. But this guy, I mean, if you're a Scrubs fan, there was an a cappella band in there. That was a real band called The Blanks, and it was his real band. And he did a version of the theme song, which is amazing. I love the theme song to Scrubs anyway. But he did this amazing version of it, and they became quite famous. And they had, I think it was a platinum album with that theme tune on it. But have a look at his name. Do you know he's got a very famous uncle? Do you want to have a guess who his uncle is? Look at the surname. Look at the surname.
Lloyd.
Yeah.
If
Lloyd I Webber? Add the words Great Scott. Nice.
Oh, Doc Brown.
Yes.
I don't know his real name.
Christopher Lloyd. Christopher Lloyd.
Oh, okay. Right.
So Christopher Lloyd was his uncle. But yes, unfortunately, Sam Lloyd has died. It wasn't from the current pandemic reasons. It was to do with a cancer, unfortunately. But I've been watching Scrubs. Today I've had it on the background while I've been doing some work. And it still makes me laugh 20 years later. I love it. I still love it. It's still funny. It's highly inappropriate now. It would never be on TV now because there are so many, let's just say, risque jokes. And, what could be seen as, well, there's lots of boobs and stuff, jokes in it, and the Todd, who still makes me giggle. But
I think Scrubs was good.
I love Ted.
I watched it a bit.
Ted
Didn't watch
was
it,
one of
like you.
my favorite characters. Sorry, you broke up then.
Yeah, no, I did watch it a little bit. I've watched a few episodes. I do enjoy it when I watch it, but I haven't watched too many of them. I'd just like to point out, though, because we've been talking about Disney Plus, obviously the advert at the top of your screen is for Disney Plus. Is it listening to you?
Yes, it's a bit scary, isn't it?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So Alex loved him too. Alex loved him. He was a massive Scrubs fan, and yes, Gav. Get well soon, Garth.
Well done, Dave. Yeah,
and
you were right.
He
Dave.
is a human chocolate fountain at the moment, and yes, Dave, you got it right. We
move on to our next story, and I just want to briefly mention this. Now, I'm not going to put this in the reviews because I don't really want to go through it, but I've been watching Homeland since its inception, and I admit the middle seasons were not great, but the last sort of 3 seasons, so 6, 7, and 8, have been really, really good. It finished on American TV last week, and it had the perfect ending, in my opinion. It's very rare that you get TV series that end perfectly. I can count. Only a few come to mind. One of them being Breaking Bad. I mean, to me, to this day, I still think Breaking Bad ended perfectly, and they have got a lot to live up to with Better Call Saul. That thing better end perfectly, or else. And then there's utmost failures. Game of Thrones. But this was a really, really good ending. And it was twisty, it was turny. But and even up until like the last sort of 10 minutes, you didn't know where it was going. But yes, if you are a Homeland fan or you've watched Homeland, I definitely recommend season 8. It's been really, really good. And the final was brilliant. So I just wanted to mention that because I am a big fan of it, and it's one of those things that always finishes on a cliffhanger. I have to wait a fucking week to watch the next one. It's really annoying, and it's done that the past 3 seasons very, very well. It's kept you on a hook, and that's what a good TV series should do. So if you haven't watched it, I suggest you watch it. You can skip the middle seasons, but 6, 7, and 8 really, really good.
I think I watched the first season. And started to watch the second, but sort of tailed off a little bit. It wasn't so.
The first, it was one of those typical series where the first season was amazing and they had this really good story, but it was only a season-long story. And then the next 2 seasons, they tried to carry on with the Brody character and they didn't know what to do with him. And I'll give it, in the 3rd season, they did something that not a lot of people saw coming. And then the 4th season was okay, but it really started getting good again in season 6. And it had this story that sort of went from 6 and on to season 7. I mean, season 5 was pretty good, but 6 was good. And 7 was like the continuation onto that, whereas 8 has been returning to her old Carrie, who's the main character's old roots in Afghanistan. But the ending was brilliant. The ending to me was near enough perfect. Not quite as good as Breaking Bad, but not bad. So it's well worth to watch. If you wanting to watch something, I suggest Homeland. I'm not sure if it's available on streaming. You might have to sell the high seas, but if you do, give me a shout.
It might be on Netflix or Amazon Prime. I'm not sure. Worth checking. So on to the next one.
Yeah, bad news.
There's an advert in the way.
Unfortunately, it's bad news and it's good news. Bad news is that they finished the Christmas / New Year / holiday special. It's in the can, so it looks like we're going to get this episode. I'm not sure why the good doctor's there because it's a Doctor Who thing. There she is, Jodie Whittaker herself, and the most useless character ever, Mandeep. But yes, apparently it's in the can. But reading between the lines in this story, I think they've got problems with season 13. because no matter how much bullshit they put out about, this the last episode of season 12, which was utter dogshite, the reaction has been mostly negative. I don't, the BBC are trying to spin it. They're desperately trying to spin it. But anybody I speak to who watches Doctor Who, even the people that like Jodie Whittaker, thought that final episode was utter bullshit. I haven't found anyone that's liked it. I haven't watched it properly. I skimmed through it because I just couldn't bring myself to watch them undo 50 years of 55 years of Doctor Who history just to make a name for himself.
The last episode I watched was when they were on a plane and the Master revealed his squeaky ass to the Doctor. And he was sitting there going, I'm the Doctor, I'm the Master. And that was the last episode I watched. And the rest was, the weeks ticked on and they got recorded. And every time I turned to the wife and kids go, shall we watch the next one? Everyone went, nah. So it couldn't even grab the attention of my family and my kids. And I couldn't even find willpower to push play. So they all got mass deleted. And I haven't gone back to it.
You were telling me a story about Bradley Walsh on The Chase. So tell the ladies and gents.
Bradley Walsh, he obviously is a companion in the latest series of Doctor Who with Jodie Whittaker. And he also hosts The Chase. Now, there's a spin-off show very recently brought out the last week called Beat the Chasers. It's got the same chasers, the same 5 chasers, and they're all there. So you get to answer some questions, see if you get into the main show. So essentially, if you fail the first question, you don't get to win any money at all. If you get the first question, that's £1,000. Second question, 2,000, etc., etc., up to £5,000, and then they give you offers of money against time, and you've got 60 seconds to answer your questions. And the chasers, depends on how many you've got to go against. They may start with 40 seconds to answer their questions, and obviously whoever's time runs out first is the loser. So they had this contestant come up. He goes, "Oh yeah, I'm basically a self-confessed nerd." Bradley's interviewing him just slightly before they start, and he goes, "So what do you do? What do you like to do? What hobbies?" He goes, "I like watching TV. Obviously, I've got 2 favourite shows. One is The Chase," and he's gone, "Oh yes, that's his other show with these guys." And The Chase is like, "Yeah, really good." And then he went, "The other one's Doctor Who," and he went, "Oh yeah, good." He goes, "Yeah, but the last season was a bit rubbish, though, wasn't it?" Looking directly into Bradley's eyes, and he was like, ooh. And the audience were like, yeah, we watch it.
You see, I would go as far to say that Bradley Walsh is the only damn good thing about it, and it's only passable.
It was brilliant. It was brilliant. It was a fan telling Bradley to his face, the last season was a bit shit, mate. And you could see it in his eyes. He knew, but can't say anything for legal reasons. But anyway, that's that. And right, so David says he totally lost interest with Doctor Who, just like me. He liked seasons 1, 2, 3, and 4. Did get into season 5 with Matt Smith, but he's tuned out of the newer series.
Dave,
for me,
if you've never seen, I was going to say, Dave, if you've never seen season 6 with Matt Smith, watch it.
For me, I didn't watch any of those, but I started with Matt Smith. And when Matt Smith left, I gave it a bit of a go with, who was it, Capaldi after that.
Yeah.
And I started tailing off because it wasn't quite the same. None of them, in my opinion, are as good as what Matt Smith did. But I haven't watched numbers 1, 2, 3, 4.
If you're an old school fan, you get Peter Capaldi. The problem was I think Moffat was getting bored by then. But there were some really, really, really good Peter Capaldi episodes.
There was.
I mean, the the one with the flat people, which I can't remember the name of, and Gareth's going to be screaming at me. But that's one of the standout Peter Capaldi episodes. The train one in space with Frank Skinner, brilliant episode. No, if you've not seen season 6, Dave, watch it. Season 7 is a pile of donkey droppings, with the exception of Matt Smith's 50th anniversary special and the last one, which I quite like, but some people don't. Anyway, we should move on. And Nige, I'm going to hand this over to you because we're going to be talking about video games, and we have got PS Plus games for May 2020. I quite like the first one, but you're going to shit all over this, aren't you?
Not quite. Not quite. Right. So for May, the PS Plus free games that we're going to get. That's Gareth fucking writing gay all the time. First game we're going to get for free is Cities Skylines, which by all accounts is a very decent sim game, a very decent game to play, and it's an absolute time sink by all accounts. I've got the EA one, SimCity.
SimCity. So you had SimCity. The last SimCity that came out was dire. It had loads of problems. The maps weren't big enough, and it was just shit. Cities Skylines is what SimCity should have been. It's brilliant, and I love it. I've got it on Steam, and I love it. I've got all the add-ons, and it's what SimCity should have been. It is the natural sort of progression from SimCity. What was it? The SimCity 4, I think. Not the last one, the one prior to that. This is the better sequel. I love it. It's a really good game, and I can't believe they're giving it away free because it cost me over 40 quid, and that was only about a year ago. So I think that's brilliant. I really do.
I do have it. I do have it on Steam, but I haven't ever got around to installing it. But by all accounts, the reviews and everything I've heard from not just critics, it's a better game than SimCity.
Oh yeah, it is. And it's
now here's where
I will say one more thing. It's got a thriving mod community, and there's some really good mods out there. Really good mods.
When you got on PlayStation, you wouldn't be able to mod it.
Yeah, I know. But even the flat game is great.
The flat game will be just decent enough to. That's if you like sim games, and that's where the pinch is. The second game for this year. For this month, sorry, is Farming Simulator 19.
See, you wouldn't have been arguing if it was Angler's Simulator.
It's another sim game. There's a lot of people out there, and I mean a lot of people who don't like sim games, so they won't like either of these. Now, it is a niche, and it's not a massive niche. So it's for me. I don't mind. I probably give Farming Simulator a little go to see if it's actually any good. It's probably a bit zen, is what Gareth said to me, which is probably right. Very zen. Now, what they should have done.
You don't need any of that, do you, Nice?
No. What Sony should have done is just maybe put Skylines last month and let's say Dirt 2.0 this month. So they sort of split it. So if you don't like sim, you can play the other game, and that will hold true for both months. This month is not a good month for a lot of people, and I've seen when they did. Sony's got this YouTube account. I've forgotten what it's called, but they announce things on it, and they've announced this. And it is one of the most disliked videos that they've done. Yeah. They hate. Lots of people don't like it. It's the amount of dislikes on the video outstrips it 10-1 to liked video.
Joking aside, I agree with your point that putting two simulator games in the same month is taking the piss slightly.
It is. Yes, it's not good foresight.
I mean, I love sim games, so
what they've got is they've got a plan for the year. I would imagine each month they're going to give away this game, and they've got it mapped for the year. So why, in their ultimate wisdom, would they have at the start of the year gone, yeah, definitely May we'll put 2 simulator games on? Why don't they ever mix and match it? Like, some people like this, some people like that, and then they'll feel like they're getting value on top of their PS Plus access to the internet. Fucking ridiculous cost that we didn't have with the PS3. Anyway, I don't want to go on about too much about this, but let's go to games with gold.
I don't know. Well, I know V Rally 4. But I don't know any of the others, I have to admit.
You're getting V Rally 4, Warhammer 40,000 Inquisitor, Sensible World of Soccer, and Overlord 2. Now, I think Sensible World of Soccer and Overlord 2 are the 360 games that you can play on your Xbox One, and the other 2 are Xbox One games.
I have heard of Sensible Soccer. I just never played it or really seen it.
Sensible World of Soccer came out in the 90s, mate. I was playing that on an Amiga 600, and it was, at the time, quality. It was better.
Now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's sort of top down, but instead of playing from side to side, you play sort of horizontally, not horizontally, vertically. So you're shooting from down to up or up to down. I used to play with my friend sitting next to me, like he'd have the top team, I have the bottom team. It controlled a bit weird, but it was, by all accounts, if you like football games, really not that bad. And Overlord 2, I've got that on my PS3. And it is a very good game, actually. Have you ever played Overlord?
No. What is it? That one, I'm sure you'll jog my memory. But
so you play an evil guy, like an evil overlord. And he controls these little minions, and you can send them off to do your bidding. And as the game progresses, you can get more and more of them to do different things.
It's like a god game.
No, action game. Basically, an action game.
Okay.
You're running around with a bloke on the screen, and you've got your minions around you, and you could join in the fighting if you want, or you could just tell your minions to go off and go kill them. That sort of thing, and go collect this, go get that, And different minions have different abilities, sort of thing. By all accounts, a decent game. And in fairness to them, those 4 games that you're getting there, I think that's a good little mix. Good little mix for Xbox One owners this month. Really good. I'd be pleased.
Fair enough. I mean, I will. I do remember Sensible World of Soccer now that you remind me of it. I think I played that on my mate's Amiga as well. That does ring a bell.
If you saw a picture of the box, or even a screenshot of the gameplay, or even the logo, Sensible World of Soccer, it would probably remind you of what it is. Back in the day, I don't think FIFA was even a thing. Definitely PES wasn't. And Sensible World of Soccer was the game to play alongside Football
That's
Manager.
why it rings a bell. That's why it rings a bell. Oh, I used to have a mate that was obsessed with Football Championship Manager. He'd be on his bed with his laptop for fucking hours playing that game. It was my old roommate. He would. Oh my god.
My mate. Back then I was I'm still into football, but back then I was playing a lot of football, and my mate used to come over, and we'd start a save, and we adjust some of the people, put ourselves in the game as youngsters, and it was. Yeah, we played an
entire World Cup, and we didn't play against each other. We were England, and we both were on the same team. Yeah. And we played like on this medium setting. It was FIFA World Cup, and this is going back about nearly 15 years. So it was whenever around about that World Cup, and I think it was on a PS2.
Could be
Or was it on
1998.
GameCube? I don't know. It was a GameCube. It was a GameCube. And he had this game, and we stayed in all day and just played through this World Cup. We won, but it was not easy. It was not easy. It was not easy. We had Brazil in the final, and in the first round, I'll never forget it, we were 3-0 down, and somehow we came back. And I think we played it on like hard difficulty level, and it was we got pissed at, mate, like we'd won the World Cup.
At the same time, there was another game called Adidas Predator Soccer. Do you remember that?
That rings a bell as well.
Created when Adidas had the Predators out, the football boots, which I owned. I used to play in those, and I loved it because you could do, if you got at the right place in the pitch, and you did the special shoot button, you'd hit the ball so hard because you're using Predator boots. The keeper would control it, save it with the stomach, go roll over backwards and let the ball in because it was too hard a shot. But that's it, reminiscence. Cheers,
Right.
Gareth. Access in the UK, Sony YouTube channel. That's it, Access. I have watched that a few times. It is relatively okay.
Gareth did point out that the names of the Doctor Who episodes that I could remember was Flatline, which is a brilliant episode, and Mummy on the Orient Express, which is another good Doctor Who episode. And Dave said to Gareth, "Get well soon." So there you go, G.
Isn't he lovely?
Right. Yeah, we should move on to the review section. Which one have we got up first, Nige?
Well, I've lost my place. Reviews. Let's have a chat about Manifest. Now,
so you've just started watching this, and I've been watching this for a while. I got my sister hooked on this, and she hates me because she's calling it the new Lost, which it's not quite. Season 2 was. I'm gonna come out here and say this: that season 2 got a bit too wacky in some places and a bit boring. It wasn't as hook biting as season 1, and the woke bullshit that was blatantly interjected in season 2. They never ever conceived that she was a lesbian in season 1. This is a doctor character. If you don't know what we're talking about, Nigel, you explain the basic premise quickly, Nigel.
Right. Essentially, the basis for this film is there's a family to start with. There's a family. They're in Jamaica on holiday, and there is some sort of offered to people in the airport to take a later flight, and this being flight.
No, they're overbooked. They're overbooked because airlines do this all the time. Because me and Lemon suffered from it once, which really.
So they offered people $400 each to take the later flight, and so the father and the son and the father's sister, all three of them took the later flight, and that flight is called Flight 828. Now, the rest of the family who was on holiday, they flew back on their normal flight, which was earlier, got home, and whilst they're there in the airport, they find that 828 says delayed, and then it says contact fucking service desk or whatever. Now, cutting to the flight, they're on the flight, they have some turbulence. Now, the turbulence is not normal turbulence, it's pretty fucking gnarly, man, and it is shaking the plane so much you think something's going to fall off, and then it all just sort of calms down and then goes back to normal. Lights come back on and there's like nothing to see here, it's all fine. They land, they're about to land, pilot's calling in and they go, can you say your call sign again? And go, yeah, we're flight 828 blah blah blah, coming from Jamaica. And they went, we're going to redirect you. They redirect them, they land, and they then find out once they get off that the flight itself has been missing for 5 years and then suddenly reappeared. Okay, so that's that's the premise. So
That's the
now,
hook. That's the hook.
That's the hook. So for them, for the people on flight 828, no time has passed. So they're all the same age. And they emphasize this because the son, who was with the father and sister, he has a twin sister. And they're about 12, I think, maybe 11.
So the young
12.
son has a twin sister, and now
so
she's
when
5
he
years
lands,
older.
he's still the same age. However, the twin is now 16/17, and you can tell they've done well with the casting on that. I think because they found people.
Oh yeah, they do look like each other. It is well cast. But,
so with this, they slowly introduce something. With I think mostly with the sister, she's a NYPD.
Yeah, the first episode, she starts hearing voices.
She starts hearing voices, but it's her own voice in her head, and nobody else can hear it. And then she thinks she's going a bit insane, and she actually solves a kidnapping. She solves a kidnapping due to that. She thinks she's hearing the words set them free in her head. And as she's walking past this place and she sees a couple of dogs and she's going, am I meant to set these dogs free? She walks away and then she keeps hearing it. And then she's there and then her brother turns up and says, you're not mental. I'm hearing it too. And then they set the dogs free, thinking that might be it. Wasn't it, because they keep hearing it and she gets in shit because somebody recorded her setting dogs free and all that stuff. There's all that stuff. And then slowly the brother, he gets well into this and starts mapping out all the
you're forgetting about the sort of ending to the first episode, which is the hook to watch next week, because basically all the passengers get called back to the airport, and as the plane is being taken out, the plane explodes. So there's no evidence of what's going on. And then each episode in season 1, a bit like Lost, answers one question but gives you another 20 fucking questions that you don't know the answer to. And you go through this, and then I think like midway through, you find one character who wasn't on the plane but has been through something where he went into a cave and came out 3 years later or something like that.
1 year.
And then the pilot who thinks he can recreate it and disappears, and they've never come back to the pilot in season 2, I might point out. The pilot disappears in season 1, but then never comes back. So hopefully in season 3, we might get an answer to that one, or we're going to do a Lost and just go, ignore that, we can get the actor back kind of thing. And then we've got a doctor character that's meant to be, has created some kind of vaccine or something, and she comes up with, is looking into this gene that they've got, that they identify.
Her name is Sanvi. Now, in the first season, she'd actually come up with not a cure, but a progression to cure cancer treatment. And the son had cancer, and he got put onto the program purely because he hadn't aged, and he was still eligible. But if he was the same age as what he should be, he wasn't eligible. So he got on by a technicality because of that. And they got to know the doctor quite well through that, and they were talking. And then she's looking for answers and stuff like that. And at the same time, because the wife of this bloke, she had moved on. It was 5 years they were missing. So she'd moved on, found someone new, was almost practically married with him, etc., etc. So he's still sort of floating around, and it's all a bit complicated. And at one point, I thought that he was moved out, right? And I thought that he was going to get together with the doctor, because the way they looked at each other was,
well, that's what they made out in season 1. They also made out that the doctor had an affair with a man. They heavily hint that it was a man. And then in season 2, because it is 2020, we converted her to having an affair with a married woman because, 2020. And at that point, I started going, You know, had it been if in season 1 they had intended to do it that way, right? I would have gone fair enough. All right, it's an interesting take, you know, but this was blatantly interjected in season 2 as an afterthought because they went, "Oh, we haven't got enough wokeness in this, so we've got to put that in there just for shits and fucking giggles." Season 2, I found
we both went, "What?" They've always hinted that it was that she liked the bloke. They've always hinted that.
Yeah. The thing is with season 2, I found season 2 irritating because towards the end of season 1, they had this whole mystery with shady government general doing stuff and government over research programs that shady.
Quite a bit in season 2. That was sort of forgotten about for about 5 or 6 episodes. And little bits.
Season 1 finished on the fact that they found out they were going to die in the exact amount of time that they had been missing. So you add the 5 years onto their lives that they were going to get this death day because of one thing or another. And season 2 all of what you discovered in season 2 could have been fitted into 3 episodes, and they just stretched it all out. And I started thinking, oh God, we're going down another lost street. The season final was quite good, and it definitely made me want, okay, I want to see where this goes, just for pure shits and giggles. But I'm kind of like going, I'm not going to get too invested in this, because season 2 was a bit more car crash TV than the first season. There was more wokeness. The acting wasn't as good. The writing wasn't as good. And I'm just thinking, oh God, they haven't got any kind of end to this. They don't know where this is going. They're making this up on the fucking fly, aren't they? Yeah, in true Lost tradition.
In ratings terms, I think obviously quite a few people watched season 1. I think it was 5 mil or so per episode. And then this one, I think it dropped by 20% for season 2. Still, that's not too bad for...
I believe it's been renewed for a season 3. I believe it's got one.
I was looking that up earlier, and there's no confirmation. No confirmation yet, although the actors themselves obviously are very keen, because they would be, because, they get paid.
No, they're all in contract. I'll be annoyed if they leave it off here. You can't leave it off here. You have to answer the questions,
Much like the questions in the program I was talking about, Timeless, where they did an extra 2 episodes to tie everything up nice and neatly, and they did. If they're not going to renew for a 3rd season, they really got to at least do a couple of episodes to tie it up. Because what they found, I won't say what they found at the end of season 2, but it was at the very last knockings, literally the last scene. They found something that makes you question what has been going on the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, that was another... You kind of saw the ending to season 1 coming about 10 minutes from the end of the episode. So you knew where that was going, right?
Yeah, you did.
But this one was like the final fucking seconds. You're like, huh?
Oh.
Okay. All right.
That's not...
I was about to give up on this, but now you've done that, you bastards. Now I've come to watch.
Yeah. So I had me googling when season 3 is. So anyway, hence my my little review. I think it's worth a watch. I think it's better than Lost.
It is. Season 2 is still watchable, and there's some reasonable episodes in there, but it just wasn't for me as catching. But I got switched off by the wokeness, because it's just virtue signaling, and it was blatantly interjected into it as an afterthought in season 2, and it's really obvious. That's what annoyed me. Anyway, we should move on to something, because I got rudely interrupted last week, and I am bloody well going to have my say on this.
As long as it's only a short day, mate.
Yeah, right. So I am not the biggest Ricky Gervais fan, but this little series that he's got on Netflix, I really, really, really enjoyed the first series. Gareth hated it, and I get why. It is very Marmite, but I loved it. partly because I was going through grief at the time. And this really hits home with people who have been through grief or going through grief. And for some, I would love to know how. I think Ricky Gervais has lost somebody near him, or he's just nailed that process. But anyway, season 1 had some wonderful characters in it, and it is a very dark comedy.
Keith, for the podcast listeners, Keith is talking about Afterlife because he hasn't said the name yet.
Sorry, Afterlife on Netflix. Ricky Gervais, he just brought out a second season. And the main reason we're bringing this up, not really is to review this, is to look at what the critics have said about this, because one of mine and Nigel's pet peeves is critics. And these ones are at their fucking worst. But anyway, let's just briefly go. But Afterlife season 1 was amazing. I watched the whole lot on a plane back to England. And I wasn't in a good way, I'll admit. It was the first time that I had left my wife and to go back to England on my own after my mum died, and I was finding it very difficult. I was finding it really tough. It'd only been about 6 months, and I was finding it really tough going back home. And I watched this, and I was crying my eyes out, and then I was laughing. The air hostess thought I'd lost it, but I explained it to her. This thing had me through an emotional fucking roller coaster. But it was really, it ended perfectly. And I didn't think it needed a season 2, but I loved the characters. So when it did come back for a season 2, I was kind of apprehensive. And I've watched season 2. I have enjoyed season 2. It is not as good as the first season, but it has some wonderful moments. It made me cry. Again, I'm not going to fucking lie. It did. The ending, you need a season 3. Unlike season 1, which ended perfectly, I'm not going to ruin this for you, Nige, but you really, really need a season 3 or a final episode to finish it off, because you cannot leave it there. So
it's only 30 minutes. So, and there's if you watch the first episode, it does give you a nice little recap for a couple of minutes, so you remember what's which was nice.
And there's some wonderful moments in this. It explores some of the characters more. The Indian girl that works in the newspaper, you really feel for her. It only shows you like 5 seconds of her story, but you get it immediately. I love all the characters in this. I love the postman. He's funny as fuck, crazy, and I love him. I love them all. I love all the characters in this. It is very, very well written, and I don't often say that about Gervais, because I couldn't watch The Office.
The postman, he does grate on you a little bit because he's a bit of a twat in the first series, but he starts to be nice. Well, they start playing off each other, Ricky and this guy, and they're good, to the point where he knocks on the door in the first episode. It's in the trailer, I think. He knocks on the door and goes, "Do you mind if I use your bathroom?" And Gervais's character goes, "Yeah, sure." And he goes upstairs to use the bathroom. And Ricky's sitting there on his laptop, and he's watching some videos of him and his missus that died and stuff like that. And he's sitting there and gone, "Hang on a minute, how long has this fucking guy been?" And he goes upstairs, knocks on the door, and goes, "Hello, are you almost finished? I've got to go out." And he opens the door, and the guy's having a fucking bath.
I pissed myself at that bit. I thought that was so funny.
You were just having a piss. I didn't realise.
The thing I will say about, the thing I've always found difficult about watching The Office was its cringeworthiness. I get acutely embarrassed, and that's why I found The Office very good. There are brilliantly funny moments in The Office, and I understand why a lot of people say how good it is, but I couldn't watch parts of it. It just made me go. And season 1 Afterlife, there's none of that. There is in season 2, and that's why I'm saying it's not as good as season 1. The shrink character, who is played by somebody who I have liked and not liked, depending on what role, but he's it's too far in this that he's your typical toxic male, but it's to the point that it's ridiculous, and it's the only character that in it that is not believable.
Which one was that?
And it makes you get the shrink, because his shrink in the first one but in the first series it's funny and there isn't much of him, but in the season 2 there's a lot more of him and it grates.
Like that, going,
yeah. But this is much more. He's much more pervy, and he's I'm gonna go out with the lads. We're gonna bang some birds. That kind of thing, and it's too much of it. And I'm not trying to be snowflakey about it, but it doesn't work when you look at all the other characters.
Keith.
Right. So, I saw this on the BBC. Funny enough, it was an article on the BBC, but it sums up some of these critics. And I just, you wonder why these people exist, because you look at some of these, and some of them are just blatantly wrong. So you've got the series is constantly looking for easy solutions, whether it's not bothering to film the village scenes outside of London or using swearing where good jokes ought to be wrote. When he does use swearing, it's bloody hilarious, right? And you obviously don't know anything about grief. You've never been through grief. So you're talking bollocks. And thirdly, since when is Hemel Hempstead in fucking London, you moron? I mean, you actually look at its filming locations and none of it is filmed in London. None of it. It was shot at Pinewood Studios, which is in fucking Ivor. I know that because my company is next door to it. So this person's a fucking moron.
In the first episode, you see him taking his dog for a walk, and he's gone through a park and stuff, and then he's gone up this massive hill, and he's at the top of the hill, sits on the bench, and looks back, and they show you the scene, and it's like, this is not London. This is out in the sticks.
None of it is shot in London. And that was Ed Cummings from The Independent. Ed Cummings, go get a new job. You're a moron, or do some research.
Mate, he Guardian. He did research.
The Guardian. Oh, The Guardian. Ricky Gervais continues not to be as funny as in The Office, wrote Joel Golby. Have you ever seen Extras? Are you seriously telling me that some of those, especially the Daniel Radcliffe, the Patrick Stewart episode, Extras was funny? In some ways, some episodes were better than The Office.
But this is a completely different genre.
Yeah, Ricky Gervais continues not to be as funny. I'm sorry, did you see the Golden Globes? Ricky Gervais was the funniest thing there. Because he was having a go at the media, so you need to have a go back at him. And being the Guardian, the wokest of the woke, no wonder you're going to fucking have a go at him. No ulterior motive there.
Golden Globes when Ricky Gervais is hosting. And I simply only watch the highlights where he's roasting people. That's the only interest I have in Golden Globes. I just think it's just trying to belittle something that is.
And this one is particularly the second series of the dark comedy won't win back those who left the comedian behind 2 or 3 sitcoms ago. Okay, I can understand criticism of Derek, but Extras was good. And if you've actually watched this, how season 1? I get why Gareth doesn't like it, but this. Oh dear God! Why do critics exist anymore? You know, I've seen people on YouTube that have much more constructive criticism. You know, that isn't ulterior motive. Yeah, this bit's a bit cringeworthy. You know, there's a lot of people that I've watched on season 2 that didn't like the Shrink, who agree with me that the Shrink takes you out of all the characters, and I agree with that completely. But seriously, I mean, these people. I mean, it's just the one about saying, you know, it's all shot in London. And you just you type in Afterlife shooting locations, right? Literally 2 seconds it took me to Google that. None of it is in London. None of it.
No, it's just these people. We've said critics are named critics for a reason, because they've got to find something to critique. And critique is not, it's not a positive word, is it? You've got to, as a critic, you've got to find negative things about stuff.
But you have to. So much so these days, it's so much ulterior motive in these people. And, you know, access media, as we call, you know, the shills and access media, you know, I mean, I know we're going to talk about this next week, but have you noticed that none of the mainstream media has brought up anything about the Afterlife, the Naughty Dog thing? Right? No one is covering that. It's fucking
everywhere on the internet, right? Literally every YouTube channel, right, that isn't one of these mainstream wankers, right, is talking about it, and they're all getting fucking copywriting strikes, even though they are not saying or showing any pictures, anything. They're literally just saying the name of the game, and they're getting a fucking copyright strike because Naughty Dog are a bunch of wankers and are misusing the YouTube reporting thing, and they're going to get fucked for it. I'm telling you, they are, because they're going after like the channels with like 5 people watching the videos. I mean, it's just fucking ridiculous, right? None of the mainstream media is covering this. Why? Because they want access to the game, and this is what the media is becoming now. And I just, when I read these reviews, I just thought, what did you watch? You know, if you mentioned what I'd watched, I would have gone, okay, fair enough. That's a good critique. You can criticize it. There's stuff there to critique, but stupid stuff like, it was all shot in London. Took me 2 seconds to Google that. 2 seconds.
That person must be up from up north. Anything that's Middlesbrough is
no
London.
wonder you're not in print anymore. And the Guardian can just fuck off. I'm sorry, but Jesus Christ.
Well, that's
anyway.
It is what it is. I would just give it a shot. If you've not watched Afterlife, the episodes are fairly short, and he is a pretty grim character, and he's quite short and curt with people. But sometimes when he's done that, it is incredibly funny. And his evolution from being an utter dickhead to
he was
such a dickhead.
I couldn't stand him in the office, and I couldn't stand him in real life. In his podcast, he was god awful. He was an arsehole. But in latter life, I've warmed to him. I love how he loves animals, and a lot of his things I like. And even my mum warmed to him when he started championing sort of proper animal rights, not the nutters. He's not one of these nut jobs. He's just somebody that loves dogs and animals in general. And I've warmed to him. And some of his recent sort of like video blogs from home, they've been brilliant. I mean, and I like how he's calling out celebrities. Fucking what's her face? What's the lesbian talk show fucking host on in America? Ellen DeGeneres, complaining about having to stay in her multi-million-dollar mansion with all mod cons in it. And Ricky Trace goes, "You've got nothing to complain about. Shut the fuck up." And he's right.
That moves us on nicely to what the fuck?
The fuck story. Oh, this story. Okay, so do you know what? We had something similar to this. I wish I'd got pictures. Most people at the moment, if you can get it, are ordering online from supermarkets. We are lucky. We got it. And the service we've got here, the first time we have Tesco's here, right? And I did a Tesco's order, okay? And I had a slot between 7 and 8. 9 o'clock came, nothing. I went on the website and it still said the order was out, nothing. I got a call at 11 o'clock at night going, "Oh, I'm going to come and deliver now." It's like, "No, you're not, mate. I've gone to bed. You're not delivering now." "Oh, cancel the order." I was just like, fuck. I complained anyway. My wife then found a much better supermarket here, and they've done a really good delivery service. Anyway, I'm sort of digressing. We need to go on to this story. So, a woman called Naomi orders 1 kilogram of sweet potatoes. Now, if you know anything about sweet potatoes, about normal potato size, I like sweet potatoes in soups. I love sweet potato fries. I actually prefer them to chips. Really, it's honest. They're much better for you, and they make really good chips.
You're dark.
I'm really sorry. Anyway, she orders 1 kilogram of sweet potatoes, and she was expecting a bag of sweet potatoes to turn up. This is what's turned up. Hang on, I lost knives there. This is what turned up.
Jared Hoover.
Look at the size of that motherfucker. You order 1 kilogram of sweet potatoes. 1 turned up, but it is a kilogram. That's fucking huge.
That is massive.
That's at least 12 Cochranes.
That looks like a dinosaur turd.
It's huge. Yeah, Dave, are you watching? That's a dinosaur turd, right? Um, Gavin here. Gav, I'm going to call that. Gavin likes sweet potato. Yeah, I'm with you, Gav. And I it was the one thing I missed here. And in a restaurant opened up about 5 minutes from here. And they do sweet potato fries, and they're fucking lovely. So and they do a curry. They do an Indian curry, and it's a damn good Indian curry. So yes, that is our what the fuck story for the week. Woman orders 1 kilogram of sweet potatoes and gets a dinosaur turd.
Yes, it is a rugby ball.
Rugby ball. Yeah, it is a rugby ball. It's pretty bloody big, Dave. Anyway, that has been our live stream for the week, and I just want to say something now, and I can't believe I'm actually going to say this. So hopefully he's not watching. Gareth is the one that usually does all the presenting, and he always gathers all these notes and stuff, and he basically puts this show together. And us two fuckers just turn up. Okay, I mix the podcast down and stuff, but us two fuckers just turn up. I've enjoyed doing it this week, but it's really fucking hard, and I just want to give a shout out to Gareth because it's not fucking easy to do this, and I was a bit nervous at the beginning, and Gareth makes it look easy every week, and I've just got to call it. I've just got to say, hopefully he's not listening to this because I'm paying him a compliment, which we don't tend to do in true top.
You'll make his head even bigger than it is.
Yeah, I know, but honestly, it isn't the easiest thing to do. So I will, our illustrious host will be back next week. Hopefully. He will stop doing an impression of a human super soaker, as he so wonderfully put it. Anyway, we will be back same time next week on both Facebook and YouTube, around about 3:30 UK time. I have no idea what that time is around the rest of the world, but this stream is usually available afterwards on both YouTube and Facebook, unless we get a fucking copyright strike, like purely because I mentioned the name The Last of Us 2 and Naughty Dog. But we might. So if you do, wankers. Anyway, we will be back next week. We will be talking about that story next week because Gareth's got a lot of opinions, and we're going to go through it all next week. And we're also going to be talking about Better Call Saul. So if you're into that and you want to know what we think, come back and join us next week. But anyway, I just want to say thanks to all the people that have commented. Dave, who watches us every week, thanks, mate. Gavin, thanks, buddy. Jokes aside, I love seeing your pictures. I have got a Weber. I ordered a Weber barbecue. My wife wanted me to buy a barrel with a fucking metal thing, and I was like, no, we're getting a proper fucking barbecue. We got a proper patio. We're getting a proper fucking barbecue. So I've ordered one. So looking forward to trying some of the stuff that you do. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for all the commenting, and we will see you next week. But for now, it's bye from me.
Yeah, and it's bye from me. I just want to say, if you want to follow us on anything, we do have Facebook, and we do have YouTube, and we do have Twitter. Just have a little search for Monkey Nut Punch. Gareth and I have been discussing on the Twitter, and we've been discussing potentially doing a little bit of live streaming on the Twitch for games and stuff, just to a little bit more live streaming. Maybe midweek or something like that.
I'd love to do another Let's Play Badly.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the idea. A little bit of a Let's Play Badly with us who can join. For doing him.
I actually found
Keith,
something.
what are you doing to that elephant?
I'm bedoing him. I found something where somebody else referred to it as the bedoing her, and I was going to send it to Gareth, and I completely forgot. Anyway, yes, and we've got other plans as well. We're going to be doing some other streaming stuff, which we'll talk about when it all comes together. So but we've got some other plans as well.
If you are listening to us on the podcast, and you do want to listen to us and interact with us live while we do it, you can either watch us on Facebook or on YouTube as we do it on, and just subscribe or like the page or like the YouTube channel, whatever, get the notification bell, and then you can sit there and type away to us when we're talking about certain stories, and then we'll address them as we're going. So yeah, a bit of interaction be good. And on that basis, I'm out.
Say bye
for me.
And it's goodbye for me. See you next week, guys. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.